Hey everyone, welcome to the second team selection video for game week 2. During this video, we are going to go over how my team is going to be looking going into this next coming game week. Just a quick look over what kind of is happening around the league, and then the top 5 players that I'd say to bring in for this week. So without further ado, and it's not going to be too exciting, I'm only making one change to my team. Um, as far as a starting 11. Um, Transfer plans right now, I just want to roll a transfer. I set up my team based on fixtures. So while I have some players in the lineup that might have some difficult fixtures this week, they're not worth getting rid of because they have such great fixtures coming up. So I will be rolling a transfer this week, which is a new rule this year for Serie Fantasy. And so I just won't be making a transfer. I'm going to have 2 free ones for the next week, and then I can get a little bit more creative with my transfers, and I'm sure I'll be using one then. Just keep in mind, you can only ever roll 1 transfer, so you can only ever have a maximum of 2 free transfers. If I were to not use it again next week, then I would just lose one and burn it. And yeah, if I do change my mind and I do make a transfer, just like last week, I will post it on my Twitter. But going over my team, the change to the starting 11 is I'm going to be starting Falcone over Vicario this week. I do feel as though Fiorentina, especially with that Jovic up front, will be scoring a goal. Sassuolo really just had one good chance against Juve that was on the line. It was cleared off the line. Um, Other than that, they didn't seem that threatening. So yes, do I have a lot of faith that Lecce is going to be able to keep a clean sheet? Not really. But I thought I'd make a little switch there. Falcone outscored Vicario by 1 point last week. And I'm just thought I'm going to give him a go this week. I'd say Fiorentina is a better team than Sassuolo. So that is my reasoning there. The outfield in front of the goalie is going to be the same. Theo Hernandez is against Atalanta, and obviously, therefore, Malinovsky is against AC Milan. Those are the 2 players mostly that I'm thinking might struggle for points. We know that if Milan earns a penalty, Theo Hernandez is going to have the opportunity to take a penalty. We also know that Milan's good and can keep a clean sheet against anyone. Atalanta is coming off of a clean sheet, so they're seeming very defensively sound. And I feel like because he didn't start last game week, Malinovsky is going to start this game week. If he does not start again this game week, I'm probably going to be thinking about transferring him out. We got Skriniar against Spezia. I really think that should be a clean sheet, but I thought Lecce should have been for Inter last game. But Spezia only scored 1 goal against Empoli. They're just not normally a high-scoring team. They scored a lot in their Coppa Italia match, but that was against the Serie B side. So I do think that Inter can pull off a clean sheet here, and Skriniar can get forward. Smalling against Cremonese, again, really should be a clean sheet. Hopefully Smalling doesn't just turn out to be that defender that gets the yellow every single game. He did get a yellow card last game, which took a point away from me. But I'm confident in a clean sheet there. Another player that I'm not expecting huge things from this week, but will be playing is Bharati. They just struggled against Spezia last week. I don't know. They just seem like a weaker side than I thought they were going to be coming in. But he is an attacking player, probably on penalties, so he could still get some attacking returns against Fiorentina. And that's what's kind of good about moving Vicario out of the keeping position is I can now support both Bajrami and Jovic, just hoping that it's a high-scoring game. So it's a bit of a contradiction, but if Jovic scores, it's not impacting Bajrami too much, just by 1 point for the clean sheet that midfielders get. As far as Napoli, I got Lozano again, got an assist last game, and of course Osimhen again, facing Monza. So they should be able to do well in this game as well. Monza, out of the promoted teams, probably faced the weakest last week in Torino and still lost 2-1. They're still probably better than a normal promoted side coming up, but I do think Napoli should be able to handle them with ease. I've already talked about having Jovic up there scoring last week. So I don't see why he can't score again this week against Empoli. Empoli does have a decent defense, but I don't think it'll be enough to hold Fiorentina and hopefully Jovic off the scoreboard. And then my 2 Roma forwards that were buzzing last week but couldn't get anything done. Dybala and Abraham will be starting. I'm trying to decide who to captain between them, or if I should just go to Oshimen. So that's going to be my decision right now. I find it hard to not captain a Roma player against Cremonese. I'd say Cremonese is probably the weakest team coming into the season. Um, they did play pretty well against Fiorentina, and even with 10 men, so it'll be interesting to see there. But right now, I think I'm gonna try to go with Dybala because he did seem to get just as much attacking chances as Tammy Abraham did. Um, but he will get an extra point for a goal. He's creating more as well. And Tammy Abraham was the first player on Roma subbed off last game. So those are just things I'm keeping track of, and why I'm picking Dybala currently as my captain with Tammy Abraham as a vice. My off chance is if I hear of anything or if I just get cold feet or something, I might hop over to Oshiman, who proved his worth last game. And therefore, on my bench, we have Vicario in case Falcone doesn't play. Ismaili is going to take the first sub spot away from Jim City. I just really think Milan's going to score. So I think Empoli might have a better chance of holding a clean sheet than Atalanta does. And then we got Sede, who didn't start in the third bench spot. If he did start last game, I might even consider starting him, but he did get subbed on. So I don't want him to just get subbed on for another game and only take the 1 point. So that's my thoughts for my team selection. As far as any transfer plans, if, like I said before, I'm planning on rolling the transfer, but I have been very tempted to bring in. Here, let me just actually go to the transfers so I can see his name while I'm saying it. The Napoli midfielder, Kvara something. We've got Kavara Tixelia. That's what I'm going to go with for now. Sorry about the mispronunciation. He's a Georgian, I believe. So I don't know, maybe they have more complicated last names to pronounce. Um, he had an amazing game last game week. Was one part of the team of the week, and he's one of I think the two players that I've heard that have gone up in price. And I just heard about that this morning. If not, I might have tried to transfer Sede up to Kvara just because I have 2 million in the bank and just forgot about Immobile for now because he does seem to be a really good fantasy asset right now. I don't really want to get rid of Bajramia because he does have really great fixtures coming up. That was another thing I considered. The last player that I would have considered getting in for this week, which I just want to see some more consistent starts, but that's Ante Rebic. Um, excuse me. He also went up in price by 0.1, so it's not a super simple transfer. Again, I could probably go with Bajrami there, or what might happen next week if Malinowski doesn't start is I will drop him down to a Rebic and move Sede up to a Kvarna, and therefore I use both my free transfers and I have everything else going well. So those are some things I'm thinking of right now. Two players that did well, and if they show that it's going to be consistent, they're going to be players that you're going to want in your side if you haven't already got them already. By looking at the home screen, we can see that they are two of the three most transferred in players. Deulofeu is right up there. That totally makes sense. He got the assist really early in the AC Milan game, playing in a striking position for Udinese, and I think he's only listed as a midfielder. So very good option there. Um, we got Sanabria, who played well. Jovic as a good price striker. And the players being transferred out right now. Di Maria makes sense despite the goal, has an injury. That's probably going to last around 2 game weeks at least. Pedro didn't start. He'd probably get rotated sometimes, but for his price, it might be okay, but it makes sense. Gonzalez, I think, has an injury. Simeone is like in transfer hell right now, kind of not knowing whether he's going to be going to Milan or staying. And Tammy Abraham, that's probably my fault. That's as a red arrow. People probably trusted me, and then he played poorly. But I'd say stick with him for now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that transfer out right ahead of a Cremonese fixture. I just think regardless of how someone does, you got to give them more than a game week. You can't get too frustrated right off the bat. As far as my top 5 players to transfer in this week, I'm going to say that number 1 would be Kfara Tixelia. He's just seems so good at filling in. He's going to be the insignia now of the team. I'd say if you feel like Rebic is got that striker spot nailed down right now, I'd say he's my number 2. I'd say number 3 is someone that I haven't talked about too much, and I actually said to stay away from at the start, but could be good now that I've looked at the fixtures. I would say Berardi, if you have the funds for him, could be good. He is very expensive. He did not produce against Juve, but Sassuolo's next 7 fixtures are Lecce, Spezia. They do have AC Milan. That's their only hard fixture in the next 7. Then they got Cremonese, Udinese, Torino, and Salernitana. Those are some really good fixtures, including the 3 promoted sides, all in, or sorry, Mons is not in there. Salernitana's in there. They play like a promoted side as far as I'm concerned. But that's 7 really good fixtures, and you know Berardi's going to do something over those 7 fixtures. You just know it's going to happen. He also has Piemonte playing up there with them. Or Piemonte? Yeah, I believe that's the name. Pinamonti, that's it. But you could get him as well as a striking option, and he will definitely, I think, pay off at some point during that run of fixtures. But I'm just going to say Berardi for now. We know that he's on penalties. So far, we got Kvaratskhelia, Rebic, Berardi. I'd say another one is Jovic, just for his price on a decent team playing striker for Fiorentina. Just pay attention to what the team sheet is tomorrow for their Conference League game. And the last one I'd say is Theo Hernandez. Penalties, defender, must-have player as far as I'm concerned. So only 2 of those are players that I actually have. So, I'm not just being biased towards my team anymore. I admit that I probably made some mistakes in my first team, but we're going to try to make those right and get a better score this week. Let me know what you think in the comments below. We are 5 followers off of 200, so please like and follow and subscribe to the page. Who's going to be that 200th follower, and we'll work our way towards 3 after that. Okay, take care. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Good luck this game week.